Good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Backstrand, and we are here to present the National Wildlife Federation team. Today, we're going to share how we helped build a toolkit to help shape responsible critical mineral mining policy in the United States. Our team brings together 5 disciplines. Libby is a law school candidate bringing legal experience. Sabrina is a social work candidate bringing a focus on community and social impacts. Ching Ru is an architecture and urban planning student contributing spatial analysis. And Taylor and I are both students at the School for Environment and Sustainability, and we focus on policy. This mix of perspectives was essential for tackling such a complex issue. So the problem is that the US needs critical minerals, lithium, copper, and rare earths for batteries, magnets, wind turbines, electric vehicles, but we are 100% reliant on imports for 12 of those critical minerals, and we're 50% import reliant for 31 other critical minerals. As mining expands onto private lands, the protections for environmental and social elements of mining break down. Current US regulations fall far behind international standards, putting water quality, indigenous rights, worker safety, and biodiversity at risk. The National Wildlife Federation sought strategic guidance for us to conduct a comprehensive gap analysis, provide actionable solutions, and advocacy tools. So we responded by creating a Critical Minerals Policy Toolkit, a set of external and internal resources to guide National Wildlife Federation's advocacy on this emerging issue. So our toolkit has 3 integrated components. First, a GIS map showing where mineral deposits intersect with sensitive and threatened lands. Second, a story map bringing the data to life with case studies and narratives. And then 5 policy fact sheets analyzing gaps and recommending reforms. We'll walk you through each one. I'll hand over to Ching Ru to discuss the GIS map.
So we developed an interactive map of 8 critical minerals across the United States that highlights the development pressure on private working lands by visualizing how mineral distribution intersect with critical habitats and tribal lands. The map also compares mining pressure on federal land and private working lands by contrasting national mineral distribution with those restricted to private parcels, helping identifying which states or regions are most sensitive to new development and where policy attention, safeguards, and consultation should be prioritized. Can I play this video? So the key takeaway is national development hotspots. The map reviews overlapping development hotspots where multiple critical minerals coincide, indicating areas under greatest cumulative development pressures. And also it identified the local attention. By analyzing those overlap patterns with county boundaries, the map can support county-level action plans and targeted policy intervention. The spatial mapping highlights development pressures on private working lands by visualizing how mineral distribution intersect with critical habitats and tribal lands.
So when we started working with NWF, we weren't quite sure which direction our project would take, but we knew that high priority was also creating sort of accessible outward-facing materials that educate a wide audience on these critical issues. So we were lucky to be paired up with Lindsay Cook-Sarah, who's works in communications at NWF. And together we created a story map. So ArcGIS story map. These are interactive, visually pleasing, accessible, geospatial educational tools. We used Chingru's map to find really interesting sites where critical mineral deposits overlap with, say, critical habitat or tribal lands, or obviously private working lands. And we created these case snapshots. As Sarah said, these include narratives, photographs. Users of the story map can sort of scroll through and engage with Chingru's map as well. Our goal here was really to show what's at stake on these lands. We also leveraged historical case studies, mostly where things have gone wrong, to sort of offer a warning and sort of evidence for the policy toolkit that we've developed as well. I believe this is a video. It's meant to be. Oh, and so this was a fully remote project, so we just wanted to showcase what our collaboration looked like. We worked really deeply in this Google Doc over the course of the year together with the NWF team, kind of constant feedback, constant back and forth until we finally created our final project, or our final story map, which is now published on the NWF website. Back to the fact sheets.
We also developed 5 policy fact sheets covering biodiversity and land use protections, cultural heritage protections, and free, prior, and informed consent, or FPIC, environmental impact assessments, labor rights and working conditions, as well as waste management and water pollution control. Each fact sheet reviews current US federal and state policy, compares it to international best practices, specifically IRMA, or the Initiative for Responsible Mining Assurance. Each fact sheet also identifies specific policy gaps and provides concrete recommendations for reform. A few key findings. One is that mining on private land typically does not trigger federal environmental review. US law only requires consultation with tribes. It does not require explicit consent from tribes. Additionally, mine waste is largely exempt from federal hazardous waste law, and there are no enforceable no net loss biodiversity standards. So in terms of impact, the toolkit provides a broad national overview that we hope can lead to more in-depth site-specific analysis. We hope that it will be updated as the critical mineral policy landscape evolves, and it is evolving very rapidly. New opportunities include positioning the National Wildlife Federation for informed, direct engagement with policymakers and creating pathways for public engagement and coalition building. What we learned in this program, as Taylor mentioned, this fellowship was it took a lot of time to get to the point where we had narrowed in on what were our key priorities for this work. We're thrilled that our work is now live on NWF's website, informing actual advocacy. We also learned to scope and rescope as the policy landscape evolves. So what can be done? First, understand that while mining is essential for the clean energy transition, there are ways to do it more ethically and sustainably. Furthermore, there are real battles being fought at the state level, and there's lots of room to make progress at the state level to improve critical mineral mining in the US. To close, we would like to thank the Dow Company Foundation, as well as our Dow mentor, Jeff Talazar. We'd also love to thank our partners at the National Wildlife Federation, Shannon Hake-Williams, Simone Stewart, and Lindsay Kucera. We also want to thank the Graham Sustainability Institute team, Bridget, Carly, and Shelley Miller. Thank you all for your attention, and we can take questions now.